Okay, Brian's up. He says, how do you manage your customers? Do you use a CRM? I noticed all the free CRM scripts inside Softaculous. I was wondering if you have used them before. No, I mean, as far as manage my customer, I'll be honest with you. I keep a pretty simple management, I guess, process. All of my clients and lead gen properties are all, all my local stuff is all inside of Bright Local, because that's where I do most of my reports from and everything. My reporting is through Bright Local. And so I just have everything in there, which is great because they have like a client or contact database that you go in and you can add, multiple locations per client. You can keep all kinds of information. So I guess it acts as a CRM, Bright Local does. But I use it specifically just to generate reports. And then I have a Google, I use Google Drive for just about everything. So I got a spreadsheet for each client, a separate folder and drive for each client, that kind of stuff, and where I keep all their data. And I just create reports from Bright Local, and then, I'll email those out to the customers and that kind of stuff. That's how I've always, and I also use Google Contacts to keep, so that, like when I'm sending out, or somebody calls or anything like that, it always comes up with the correct name. But that's it. I mean, I don't use any fancy CRM software. I never have. It just was one additional piece of software I never felt like I needed to learn. And Bright Local handles everything for me as far as like just keeping all the relevant, that in my spreadsheets is all that I need to be able to keep all my lead gen properties and my clients straight and all in the same locations, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you guys use? Both of you.
Well, I don't use a CRM either. The thing is that I think, and this is probably a misconception of mine, that you can use, or it's better to use a CRM when you are handling a bunch of clients. When you're handling, I don't know, maybe 10 plus clients, but since I usually don't, I usually work with maybe 3 or 4 clients / partners at the time. I usually do not need one, and usually when it comes to ActiveCampaign or maybe, spreadsheets, that does the job. But when you have a lot of steps and little things or little clients, I think that we might need to implement a CRM when it comes to GRT at some point, because it's going to be much more volume. At the end of the day, we don't need, I personally don't need, or I don't feel like need a CRM, because again, there's only 2 or 3 major projects going on at any given time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I'll take the opposite stance, although I think it's totally possible to do this with a Gmail account. I use Contextually, and so far I like it. I think it's overkill for what I do, because I tend to do about the same as Hernan, where I've only got a few, not even a handful of clients at once. But the ones I'm talking to, the process takes long enough that I like to have reminders, who I've talked to. Has it been a week? Did I send out, a request for information or something? I haven't heard from them in a week. And because it's really easy to lose track of that. And so I'm paying, I think, something like $50 or $60 a month. But my rationalization for that is, let's say it's $50 a month, that's $600 a year. If I close one client, it more than pays for itself. Yeah. So, more than that, it's losing that, dream deal. So maybe they locked me into that by fear, but I like it. And there's some additional features that are pretty nice. So again, I don't think it's necessarily needed, but I like that it's handled and I don't have to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I totally agree. I mean, when I was at the height of my agency days, when I was, my agency was a lot bigger. It's a lot smaller now intentionally, because I've reduced it, like the amount of clients that I work with, from at the top, I had about 30 clients, and now I'm at 11. And I actually just picked up another client today. I typically don't do any more client work, but it was a referral from one of my clients that I've had for 4 years now. So it was a good referral. And because of that, I quoted him a decent price. It was higher than I probably would have charged 2 years ago, but it wasn't unreasonable like I have been recently. Usually now when I get people contacting me for marketing services as on a client level, I quote such ridiculously high prices because I don't want to do it. And if they're willing to pay me that much, then I'll certainly do it. But otherwise, I don't want to do it. But I actually picked up another client today. But what I was saying was, I agree that I think if we, for example, with our traffic agency that we're going to be opening up, we're going to be doing a lot of volume. And so we're going to need a good CRM for that kind of stuff. But for the most part, like I said, Bright Local handles everything. And then, as Adam said, Google Calendar. I use Google Calendar for everything. Like I live by it. If it's not in the calendar, it doesn't get done. So I set up notifications and all that kind of stuff in Calendar to remind me to, certain things that have to be done and all that kind of stuff. But I like keeping it simple where possible. And so just having to learn another piece of software is not something I want to do. I can tell you that.
I got to give a shout out to 2 more pieces of software that I really like. One of them is called Focuster. It's Focuster, which is a really awesome to-do app that integrates with your calendar. So in it auto schedules around your calendar. So if you put in create, client proposal 30 minutes, it fits it into your day based upon what you have open, which is awesome. And then I've tried a bunch of calendars for working with clients to let scheduling happen. And I know a lot of people already use this, but I'll just give another thumbs up for Acuity. I've used a bunch of different services and recently switched over to them, and that's been really nice.
Cool. Very cool.